Welcome, everybody, once again to the Sephirah Center of Shamanism. My name is Luke, experienced practitioner and mentor of the shamanic and occult sciences. On this channel, we break down all things relating to the ancient shamanic and occult technologies, bringing them into balance with the modern psychology and deep psyche. Today, we're going to be discussing the agenda of primordial deities. We're going to be delving in to some of the spirits that dwell within the primordial chaos outside of creation itself. We're going to be looking at some of the agendas of these beings, both individually and as a whole. And we're going to be looking at what you can expect if you start working with these beings on a regular basis. This is going to be a very important video for anybody who is wanting to continue or start their work with some of the darker, more primal aspects of creation. So if this is something that interests you, then I would definitely recommend staying tuned. So the primordial chaos is seen as the realm of the true gods. The reason for that is because it possesses the deities that existed before our multiverse was dreamed into existence. The primordial chaos refers specifically to the place of pure potential of infinite dark matter that dreams entire realities into being. The primordial chaos does one of two things. It both creates and it destroys. When one comes into contact with the primordial chaos, they will go through a significant process of metamorphosis. Metamorphosis first has to undergo the process of deconstruction, the deconstruction of what we thought that we were in order to define who we really are. So when you come into contact with the beings of the primordial chaos or any current of energy that's associated with dark matter energy, you are going to have chaos brought into your energy field, which is the force of transformation, the force that deconstructs entire realities in order for new realities to then be birthed into existence. The multiverse that we are living in is a product of the primordial chaos, is a product of the dark matter energy that has been ignited specifically to define meaning. The whole point of the primordial chaos is that it doesn't actually have any meaning. It's a pure abyss that is not limited by any predefined laws or regulations in any way, shape, or form. Whereas the light matter, our multiverse, is the place where laws are defined. So we are born into a physical reality, into a multiverse that already has predefined laws and regulations to ensure that our soul is able to separate itself into an avatar that has free will to be able to define a meaning for itself on the microcosmic level, on the individual level, then pulling through to the macrocosm, the collective level. So the function of the light matter, the function of our multiverse, is to carry out that divine plan of our soul getting to know itself through free will. The function of the primordial chaos is that it holds the architectural drawing for the multiverse before the multiverse comes into fruition. So it works the same as the conscious and unconscious mind, the conscious mind being the light matter, the place of tangible reality, of tangible perception, but then you have the unconscious mind being the place of pure potential, but possesses the majority of the psyche and also creates entire realities unconsciously without us realizing it. It works the same with the primordial chaos. The primordial chaos holds the architectural drawing for the house being the multiverse, the house being the physical experience before it comes into fruition, just like the unconscious mind does. Within the primordial chaos exists different types of intelligences, most of which existed before creation itself, most of which are older than any of us know. Older than everything that you can perceive around you, older than everything within the physical, tangible experience. Everything that makes your reality what it is, these beings are older than that. So when we are referring to primordial deities, we are referring specifically to the beings that dwell within the primordial chaos, that dwell within the void space that holds everything together, dwell within the primordial chaos that existed before our multiverse, and actually dwell outside of cosmic order itself. So we're referring specifically to beings that aren't actually limited by any boundary or law. However, when they interact with our multiverse, they do have to abide by cosmic law. They do have to abide by the predefined laws and regulations that are defined by the physical multiverse, that are defined by the organizing principles that hold our multiverse in place, that is held together by the angelic current. So this is why angels are often seen as good, because they hold order, whereas, say, a daemon would be seen as bad because it is a product of primordial chaos, so therefore it's going to bring chaos. Daemons are not the only beings that dwell within the primordial chaos itself. There are too many beings to note. For ease, we refer to them as daemons because these are powerful, self-sustaining intelligences that have one goal, and that is to carry out their own individual agenda. But that agenda is going to very much align to the overall agenda of the primordial chaos. So the overall agenda of primordial deities is the same as the primordial chaos, and that is to deconstruct. When you interact with a primordial deity, it is going to facilitate a significant process of deconstruction. You are going to go through a significant process of deconstructing your false sense of self, who you thought that you were, to clear space for a reality that is much more authentic. The reason for this is because anything that comes into contact with the primordial chaos is going to go through a significant deconstruction process if it is not in alignment with one's truth and authenticity. And that is so that a new construct can be given birth to, a new construct can come into form to then be experienced in a way that is more authentic. So when we interact with a primordial deity, we are interacting with some of the darkest, most primal, most feminine aspects of the cosmos itself that dwell outside of cosmic order in general. Because they are feminine in nature, they are typically seen as more vampiric in nature as well. That means that when you interact with them, they are going to pull the rug from underneath you. Yeah, they're going to take away things from your consciousness that are encasing your truth and authenticity. These can be coping mechanisms, these can be relationships, these can be anything that is depriving you of your true essence. For example, somebody could have built their life in a way that they feel is sustainable for them, but when you look deep enough at that, when we interact with these primordial deities, they start taking away things from this person's life, and this person's life all of a sudden falls into chaos. What we've got to understand is that nothing is being taken away from the person's life that is serving their soul. The primordial deities have one goal, and that is to bring you back to the real source. The real source being the infinite dark matter that birthed everything into existence. So when you interact with primordial deities, they're going to bring you back to the source and show you your divinity. They're going to show you your divinity from within your physical body by taking you back to the primordial chaos, which is the realm of the true gods. They call it the realm of the true gods because the primordial deities were the first gods in existence. Before the positive polarity, before the angels, before the tangible multiverse that we are existing in, these deities existed long before that. So when you interact with them, they're going to bring you back to their state of being. Particularly if you invoke them, you're going to download these currents of energy into your energy field, and you are going to learn how to essentially be more like that particular deity that you are interacting with. You're literally downloading this current of energy into your field, into your nervous system when you perform an invocation, because you're literally merging your consciousness with this type of spirit. You're merging your consciousness with that given deity. So then you are naturally going to emanate and start to emanate the qualities of that deity. And as that deity will exist outside of creation itself, you are then going to start to learn to dwell outside of the predefined constructs and regulations that have been placed upon you. And that can take a bit of getting used to say the least. If you have lived a life whereby you are coping, if you have lived a life whereby you are holding on to a state of order, but in doing so, you're giving your power away. In doing so, you're giving your creative potential away. You're giving your ability to make changes in your life away to an external force, away to a predefined law or regulation that has not actually been figured out by you, but has been figured out by somebody else that has then been projected onto you, then interacting with a primordial deity will deconstruct that aspect of yourself. It will deconstruct your false self so that you can start to find out who you really are. And there is no greater way really to define meaning for yourself than to go back to the primordial chaos, because the primordial chaos is where you come from. So in the primordial chaos, you meet no laws or regulations other than the multiverse that you exist in. So when you go back to the primordial chaos and you experience that abyssal energy, you experience that place of pure formlessness. At first, it may feel pretty terrifying. At first, it may feel uncomfortable, because you're going to go through a process of metamorphosis. You're going to go through a process of shedding your old layer of skin, getting rid of who you thought that you were, but actually, in reality, getting rid of the false identities that have been falsely encasing who you really are. And then you realize that there isn't actually any predefined meaning to anything at all, and nothing actually has a definitive meaning other than the meaning that you are defining for yourself through your free will. So when you go back to the primordial chaos through working with some of these deeper, more primal aspects of yourself, what's going to start to happen is that you're going to start to enter a space that is not as solid. You're going to start to enter a state of being which is more fluid in nature, a state of being that honors that continuous process of metamorphosis, that honors that continuous process of transformation. When we interact with these deities, they are going to quickly take you back to the source in the way that they see fit. So the overarching agenda of the primordial deities are essentially to bring you back to divinity within yourself, bring you back to the true gods, bring you back to the true gods, which is where you came from, which is not predefined by anything outside of you. This can be a difficult truth to come to terms with, and it is a process. if you ever become fully sort of in tune with that state of being from within a physical body, tell me how. Because it is a continuous process for everybody. It's not like you start working with one of these spirits and then all of a sudden you start to, all of a sudden you're a being within the pure void in that sense. It is a continuous process of what you could call self-deification, the continuous process of metamorphosis, of shedding who it is that you thought that you were, so that you can then start to define a new meaning for yourself that is not predefined by anything outside of you. And there is no better way than to do that when it comes to your soul getting to know itself, because you are then defining a meaning for yourself from the primordial chaos, from the infinite space, from a space that is not predefined by anything outside of you. So these beings make it very clear very quickly when you start to interact with them how you have been shackling yourself, how you have been lying to yourself, how you have been separating yourself from your own true, authentic power. So when we delve into that on a deeper level, we really see that these beings do not want to cause us harm. What they really want to do is deconstruct your sense of self, deconstruct your coping mechanisms, and bring you back to who you really are. And who you really are can only be defined by you, can't be defined by anybody else. So if that is the overarching agenda of the primordial deities, what is the individual agendas of these specific beings? Now, this is going to drastically vary according to the spirit that we are referring to here. There are many different primordial deities, too many to count, and some we're not even aware of. We can use the example of some well-known primordial deities just to give you the idea of the agenda of some of these spirits. So one that's coming to mind straight away is Tiamat. Tiamat being the mother of creation within Sumerian mythology. Tiamat with her consort Absu, or being the consort of Absu, were said to have given birth to the first realm of gods, or the first generation of gods that would later become the Anunnaki. This is in Sumerian mythology. Time goes on. These gods basically develop more predefined order and regulation within the cosmos, start disturbing the natural flow of the primordial chaos, the natural flow of nature, at which point, long story short, war breaks out between them, and Marduk, being the child of Enki, then slays Tiamat, cutting her in half, severing her body, and then giving birth to a predefined heaven and a predefined earth in one particular mythology. So when we look at the symbolism behind that, we will then see that Tiamat, being a pure being of primordial chaos existing outside and wanting to dismantle a false sense of order, working with Tiamat will bring you straight back to the mother, as Tiamat is seen as the mother of our universe. If you work with a being such as Lilith, and Lilith's mythology is that she existed, again, depends on the tradition, but she existed within the true Garden of Eden with Samael. That's the traditional story of Adam and Eve. It's Lilith and Samael. And through their divine union, they were giving birth to what they refer to as either the fireborn or the serpentborn, people who are fully connected to their true divinity from within the self. The story goes, jealous God comes along. If we refer to Gnosticism, we'd refer to that as the demiurge. The demiurge essentially seeks to separate both Lilith and Samael, casts Lilith out, castrates Samael, and then starts to make people out of clay. And the clay-borns refer to the human beings that have been detached from their true divinity. So working with Lilith is basically consciously tapping into everything that you have denied about your pure feminine energy. Anything that you have judged as ugly or disgusting about yourself, the agenda of Lilith is to deconstruct those predefined beliefs, to deconstruct who you thought that you were, to unleash these repressed desires, these repressed aspects of yourself, these aspects of yourself that you have classed as ugly or not worthy of being felt and experienced. The whole purpose of Lilith is to bring a light into these aspects of yourself. So her agenda is to deconstruct the illusions that are keeping you separated from the more grotesque aspects of yourself. But in doing so, becoming friends with the aspects of yourself that you have denied, becoming friends with the currents of your feminine energy that you have refused ownership of. Lucifer, his agenda is liberation, because when we look at his mythology, he's thrown from heaven, representing one wanting to find their divinity from within themselves and not an external force. So the current of Lucifer is there specifically to be that bringer of light into the deeper aspects of your shadow so that you can free yourself, so that you can free your inner child, so that you can free your true sense of self-expression. Another example would be Asmodeus, one of my personal favorites. Asmodeus, seen as a spirit of pure vengeance, ruling over the sphere of Gola Chub within the Qliphoth. When we refer to Asmodeus, we are referring to a being that wants to deconstruct the illusions around anger, rage, and sadistic desire. He wants to change these residual energies into passion. So the role of Asmodeus, the agenda of Asmodeus, is to really bring you face to face with your rage, bring you face to face with your anger, bring you face to face with some of the deepest, most sadistic aspects of yourself, so that you can then find the light that exists within them, find the passion that exists within them. Belphegor, ruler of Thagirion, the Lord of Death. He wants to deconstruct your illusions of grandeur. Thagirion is the sphere of the black sun that sits in the middle of the Qliphothic tree. The black sun shines only for itself, and Belphegor has the agenda of deconstructing your illusions of grandeur, often testing one through illusionary achievements. So you can see how all of these different beings operate within different currents of energy, individual currents of energy, but are all associated with deconstructing something, deconstructing some aspect of your false self to help you tap into real potential that exists underneath. So if one interacts with these primordial deities, they need to really be prepared to go through a significant process of deconstruction. They need to be prepared to face some of the deeper, more primal aspects of their psyche. Because we're working with pure dark matter energy, we are working with currents of energy that are resonant with our deep unconscious mind. So naturally, it's going to bring repressed trauma to the surface very, 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 very quickly. It's going to bring repressed trauma to the surface quickly so that you can process it and find who you really are beyond the illusions that you have created out of trauma. So expect these deities to deconstruct you, as their agenda is pretty simple: to deconstruct the illusions of who you think that you are, deconstruct the cage that you have established to encase your true power and divinity, in order to help you bring the power back and learn how to cultivate in the way that they do. And the realm of the true gods, in the realm of the true gods, they cultivate from the void space. They cultivate from a space that is defined only by them and not by anybody else. So I think this is everything that I needed to talk about in today's video. If you need any assistance with preparing for work with such primordial deities, then I have some amazing mentoring programs that are designed specifically for this, alongside a very substantial membership program for taking you through a number of different practices and technologies to help you to effectively build a foundation so that you can ground these energies effectively. But remember that these energies are there to help you forge your own path, but my support is here only if you feel that you require it. It is not a small endeavor, so do be prepared that this is not like interacting with an angel. It is not like interacting with anything that you may be used to within the positive polarity, within the light matter. We are working with some of the most chaotic forces that are going to make you face things about yourself that you may not be aware of. They're going to show you how much you have lied to yourself so that you can start to divine a new truth that is in alignment with your soul's truth and authenticity. So, thank you guys. If this video was helpful to you, hit like and subscribe, and I will see you in the next video.